January 2nd. I decided to take a walk. We've got a big, major cold storm coming through. You'd never believe it. It looks so calm and beautiful, but that's all right. It'll give me time to get things done inside. Now I'm just kind of contemplating, what am I going to do? What am I going to do this? It's not spring, it's now. I'm going to sit and just enjoy this beautiful day with you. And yes, I'm behind the camera, where I really like to be. I just picked my beans and I went ahead and picked the last 2 cucumbers. I doubt any more will grow, but they might try. I'm debating if I'm going to take all the irrigation tubing down or most of it and start over. I love my irrigation tubing. I'll probably sit with you one day and show you these wonderful ties I make with them. You can buy the ties and they charge you what, $15, $20. Oh, I see the yellow rump warblers up there. For like what, a few of them, they cost $2, $3 a piece sometimes, and I make them for pennies. I absolutely love them. So I might sit with you and do that live. I've got that to do. I've got a water fountain project I've already started working on today. I'm trying to clean up my kitchen so I can just turn on the camera at the spur of the moment. But the problem is I've got all my projects everywhere. You look at it, it looks like a mess, but I've got like 20 projects sitting on my kitchen table, and that's the issue. If I turned it on, you'd go, what a mess, like somebody said about my garden. They said the garden was a mess. It is a mess. It's winter. I'm letting it do its thing. I could go through my garden right now and I could take everything down. I could just wipe everything off here, take all the plants that are not doing good, take all the sow thistle over there down that's starting to turn brown. And you know what I'm doing? By doing that here, I'd be removing food for the birds that are wintering here, because that is all part of nature. Nature doesn't come through, make green plants, and then they all just disappear into the ground. Think about it. Nature, things hang on. The leaves turn brown or red or yellow, and they fall. The leaves are falling because they're going to start making more soil for the plants, as you call compost, by layering what's already there. Remember, anything on top, even here, does not break down. But as the leaves fall off this nectarine tree and start to build here, okay, that's kind of odd. That's the second one I've seen there. Well, that tree. Anyways, well, let's go back to, that is odd. Let's go back to here. As soon as the leaf falls on top of another leaf, the one underneath is now underneath. And that one will start to break down, but not the ones on top, because the ones on top are mulch. They're covering the soil. I don't do a lot of covering in my totes. Periodically I go through and cover, throw leaves on there, but it depends on why I'm doing it. Now, why don't I always cover my soil on my totes? Because it harbors insects for some plants. Let me get this real straight so you understand. For some plants, because some of you are going to come back and say, oh my gosh, you have to. Nature does. You're absolutely right. But sometimes, if you're growing something small, you could end up with a ton of insects under the mulch. So I kind of do it both ways. If it looks good, I put it under there and everything is going fine, I'll leave it. But my plants, I throw my own leaves in there. I don't build up 2 inches of leaves there because, again, it harbors insects. You'll get roly-polies going into your mulch. Like, what are they doing here? They're breaking down roly-polies. All kinds of stuff is breaking down the wood chips. If you notice, they're falling. They're coming down. They were real tall because they're compressing. They're being broke down. Underneath in the middle is wonderful compost. For me, I call it soil, that you could grow in. Well, that happens if we're growing in containers. You put too much in there, and sometimes too much of a good thing is not good, okay? So it depends on what you're doing. I do try to have a couple leaves around, and we'll talk about that more as spring comes in. Sometimes you'll look inside a container and you'll see 1 or 2 leaves I've picked up and thrown in there. Usually it's a brassica. The reason I do that is because when I throw a couple brassica leaves on the bottom of a container, whether it's a bucket, a tote, whatever, if you've got a few roly-polies you didn't see, and I'll use those as an example, they will gravitate a lot of times to not only hide under the leaf, so you can pick them up out and throw them out if you want, but they also like to eat decaying matter. So if they have decaying leaves that they like, and brassicas are one of them, collard, kale, any of that, a lot of times they'll eat that, won't touch your plant at all. So keep that in thought. So I'm just kind of enjoying the day and thinking what I'm going to do. Oh, what was I talking about there? Well, if you look here, and I don't know if you can see it, I looked at this the other day and I thought, I didn't plant that. You know what that is? That's an apple tree. Now there's another one coming up there. I know what that is. Is that an apple tree or a baby nectarine? No, it's an apple tree. I know, I think I know what's going on. I planted this apple tree. I planted this one, this one. If you look, they're all in a row. See, the apple trees are in a row, and now I've got one sticking out here and one there. I know what happened. I've seen this with my old plum trees I used to have around here. They're sending out underground suckers probably. So maybe this one wasn't doing good. I had cut some of them back because they weren't doing good, and it started to send out a shoot. Well, it thought it was, uh-oh, I'm dying. So it might have sent one that way, a root, and one that way, and they can produce more trees through roots, and that's probably what's going on. I just didn't really pay attention to that before because I did not, you know, plant behind that big cut log that's there, or that's actually, no, Gary put that there. It is something from a tree. Probably he got it from when he was getting wood chips years ago. They brought a whole truckload of cut wood. They need to get rid of it. They asked if he would take it, and he said yes. So they're sending out suckers. Will these apple trees ever have apples? I don't know. For now, I left them for fun because I planted them. They came up in my compost on my deck, and I planted them here quite a few years ago now, and they're getting a little size. I'm starting to shape them now. And I don't know, because they're planted from seeds. Usually don't buy that way. Usually get grafted plants, and I haven't started grafting. That's something I am thinking about. But if the tree is really established good, maybe I will. I've got a pomegranate there too. Has not grown pomegranates. I should cut the pomegranate out if I want the apple to make it. Now the nectarine tree came up from seed in our garden and in the yard. And I told Gary I want a nectarine plant because our nectarines are very unusual. They throw beautiful fruit. And the seeds, of course, from the animals, the critters grabbing them, end up growing everywhere around the yard, and they can produce fruit in a year. If they come up really quick in the spring, by the following spring, we've got fruit. And that's what this one did. We moved it here, and we had like 1 or 2 fruits, and then the year, I think the next year, there was like 5. And this past year you saw, there were 50. So I'm hoping this plant will do the same thing. But right now, it's in the process of losing all its leaves. I'll have to keep an eye out because it had the curly leaf too. And if that starts right away, I just get them off as quick as possible. And you throw those away. I'm not going to take a chance of composting it. It's probably fine if I wanted to dig a hole somewhere and bury it, but I just throw those away. So we'll see what happens with that. I am actually thinking of taking the truck bed because I'm going to be fighting with that fig leaf gourd and pulling everything out. I could leave the buckets, throw in, maybe I should throw his wood chips in, get a bunch of leaves from around here, and then throw it in there first, and then put wood chips on top, and then throw in all those millions of zinnia seeds I've got. That would look really cool. And then I've got some wildflower seeds that Gary picked up somewhere. I could throw that in there and just let it turn into a wild guerrilla wildflower. Well, it'll be zinnias and wildflowers growing in there. I'm actually thinking about that because the fig leaf gourd is going to come back. It's set root in there. I will still have Swiss chard, and the other thing that comes up is tomatillos. And don't plant anything else. No watermelon, no squash in there except for the fig leaf gourd, and let it do its thing, and maybe hit the truck bed with some white paint. Just because it's been white, just because it's been here. It was here from the day we bought the property. I tried to give it away. Nobody wanted it. And leave it, do its thing. And then it would be a beautiful field of flowers. It will bring in not only the hummingbirds and butterflies and other birds around here, but the orioles love picking at that too, and insect eaters. And then set up a container in those totes I do now with more insects, and that will bring in even more. That would look beautiful. So I'm thinking about that. But going back to my winter garden, if I take everything down, it will look nice and clean and ready for spring. But again, that is all food for the animals that are wintering here. That's why you leave things if you can and let nature do its thing. Now, of course, come spring when I'm serious, I will take it all down. I will take it all down like I did last year and start from scratch. The year before I didn't, I let it do its thing, but I did much better by taking everything out or dropping it on the bottom of the tote and covering it with a little bit of soil, whether it comes out of another tote, the ground, if I can find some good soil there, or potting soil. So I'm thinking of doing that later. I'm just deciding, do I want to pull all the irrigation tubing down and start over? That one's looking really good with the 3 rings. This one's actually doing good. I could just touch it up by stringing them a little bit better. We've had a lot of wind and things that knocked a few things around. Plus, I don't know. I just, some of them weren't set up right. I never set up the big one right the way it should have been set up. That one, you know, I think I'll only redo the big one and leave the rest because the rest are standing beautiful. The big one just needs to stick down the middle. Get my soldering iron out and fix that. I think I'll do that. The chairs are all good. I think there's 1 or 2 totes in there that I cracked leaning on, and I got a little too rough trying to pull things out and change things around. So I think I'm going to leave them as long as they're still usable. If not, I could empty them out, put a new tote. I did see that Walmart had them again for, you have to go online and really hunt. I'll sometimes put a link there, but they've got Walmart on my YouTube channel now. I don't blame them. And you can look through, and if you don't see it, like when I put it up, if it says sold out, get in there and look, and if not, go into the store and see what they've got, because they have been $7 and cheaper. This time of the year after Christmas, I don't know why, but totes go down. It's like they sell them just when the holidays are over, and then when people aren't buying them, they lower them again. Or you've got the college students already in college and they have leftover colors. They have elf green, which is a beautiful bright green. They still have the gray. They now sell the black. Don't worry about the black getting too warm. It literally only gets 1 or 2 degrees warmer, if that, and sometimes it's better. But the critters that are in there, your microbes will go away from the side if they need to. And I love growing in black. When I got the gray, they didn't have the black. Now they've got the black, same ones in black. And they've got pink and blue and whatever colors. So I have noticed they're coming way down. You can get sometimes 6 or 8 per 50 something dollars too. So as it stands now, I'm not doing anything other than maybe grabbing the geraniums that are on the bottom that I propagated, planting that in other places and getting rid of that big one back there, because that could be an issue for me, the real big one that's growing there. Now, why would that be an issue? Because in the summer, we do have snakes, and this past summer, multiple rattlesnakes were found in the area. There was one found right up here, and there were a couple found in a few other places. So that harbors a space for snakes to hide in. I love the garter snakes. I love seeing king snakes. I haven't seen them in a couple years, but we have king snakes. I think we have rainbow boas, which I have not seen here. And then we've got the racers. Some people call them garters. I do believe they're racers. So I don't mind them, but I don't want to be walking by and then want to tend to a tote. Plus it's covering one of my totes. Tend to a tote and then find out I stepped on a rattlesnake, because they're not going to tend to do anything to me unless I step on one. So I'm going to cut that way back and leave a little bit. It's growing real good. Why do you think that is growing really good? It was a tiny little plant that I stuck there, a little stick in the ground, because of the compost tea coming out of those 2 totes. The one that's on the chair still and the one that you cannot see that it wrapped itself around. I mean, it's got the best spot in the world to grow. So I'll just trim that back. I don't have to do it now, and all the snakes are hybridizing. Oh, that's a good one. They're hibernating right now, so I don't have to worry about snakes, but I will start to think about cutting it out. I'll either compost it or grow some of them. That's a pink one. I did get some pieces that were at Home Depot less than a year ago, and they're taking off, and I think they were white. So I've got some other ones growing. I really like this vibrant red I've got, so I want to plant more of those. I don't need those are growing everywhere, so I'll see what I'm going to do. I've got a couple around the ponds. In here there's a pink one, so that one is the same one as that one. So I'll kind of decide when I get there. It's no loss here. Geraniums grow like weeds here. If they fall, they drop and they grow. So that's what I'm doing today. And as far as New Year's resolutions, what am I going to do for the new year? I don't personally believe in that, and neither does Gary. To him, it's just another day. But this year I actually did start something right away. What I'm going to do is make sure I make a green drink every single day, because something happened with everything going on a few years ago. I cut back. I used to make these big green drinks and drink them every day, and it gave me a ton of energy. And then when we were home all the time, I started doing other stuff around here, and it was like, oh, I didn't have one today. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, then tomorrow comes, I didn't do it. I'm back in the routine. I now have a green drink every day. In fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to forage a bunch of greens, go through my whole garden, walk through, grab from here and there, because I love grabbing from different places, different plants, because they all have different nutrients. And then I'll go make a green drink. And I've been really good at that. So that's number one that I'm going to continue this year. Number two, how do I say this? Which is really the only other thing, is I need to change, I feel, Gary's diet. He's always busy and he eats whatever I cook, which is a good thing. And we have a really good dinner every night. And we do usually have a fairly good breakfast when I make eggs, and then he takes tortillas and he puts all kinds of whatever's left from the night before on, and a little bit of cheese, and he puts it in the broiler and he broils it up. And that's a good breakfast, but I know I can do better, and I want to do better, because there's times he comes in the afternoon, I ask him what he wants to eat, and if he doesn't make lunch, and sometimes he does, he'll say, oh, I can eat some chips, or I had a couple of your cookies, and that will hold me over for dinner. That's going to stop. We're not getting any younger, and that's not a good thing. He can eat all the cookies he wants. I really do feel that way. He can eat all the cookies, candy, anything we've got here, chips, whatever he wants, but what he's going to eat first, because I know he loves it, is he's going to eat good. And we started it for the new year, and it's working fabulous. And I will have to tell you what that is, and show you what I'm doing. I don't know if you're going to want to do it or not, but I make these vegetable patties, and you can make a whole bunch of them, and you can freeze them. You can store them in the refrigerator for days. The dogs want to kill for it. It's so funny. So I haven't put onions in it, though I will have to. I have so many walking onions, and I love my green onions and my garlic chives. So when I make it, I'm gonna do some without, and then the rest I'll just add it in and just go for it from there. And it's working. He gets up in the morning, and the first thing he does is he grabs one of these big patties, and then he says, oh, they're so good, he eats another one. And you know what? The cookies I made are sitting. They're sitting right where they have been. He's not eating them. Why? Because he's not hungry. This morning I got up, I ate a patty, and the dogs wanted, so of course I shared with them. And as soon as I was done with that one, I took one more, and I went to have a coffee, and a second cup of coffee. Decaf is my second one. I have regular coffee first, and then decaf second. And I didn't feel like a cookie. I didn't feel like anything sweet. I was completely satisfied. And everything in what I make is from the garden. Though everything can be from the garden, there was a few things that were not. But otherwise, everything in there was from our yard, and it works out fabulous. So that's going to be the new thing for the year, because it's going to change how we feel. I have so much energy. I've been working on all kinds of things all morning. And I literally should not be sitting here and talking to you, though I love to talk to you. I want to get some stuff done. I want to get my kitchen cleaned up so I can just turn on the camera and go wild with you. And I want to get stuff done. So my New Year's resolution is, number one, collect right now greens and make my green drink, which lasts for me for 3 days now. There's 2 ways I make it, but I think I really want the fiber, so I'm going to leave the fiber in. And number two, I'm going to make these patties. And I can explain to you why one way takes too long and another way is much easier. And then how you can even share it with your dogs if you want to make it for them. So I'm going to do that. So I'm good. I ate a lot. I'm looking around and getting ready to take off and get stuff done. I think this will be a fabulous wildflower field. The reason I don't want to grow anything in there, and I can't get to the other side, Gary's telling me he's going to empty it out, and he's going to pull it with his truck forward so we can get behind it. Here's the thing, it's too much work. And what am I going to gain? That little space there, which is pretty good, when I've got all this. He doesn't have to knock himself out with it. I don't even tend to that much, let everything go wild. let it turn into a beautiful wildflower field. Especially, the seeds won't cost me a penny. It's all my own seeds. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll shape the pomegranate, which still has a pomegranate on it. 2 of them. I better go get it. Oh, it's getting cloudy. And just throw the seeds in there and let them do their thing. I'll leave the sow thistle that's growing because that's for the hummingbirds and all the birds. That's a wild weed here. And I put that in my green drink as well as these patties I make. Get rid of the avocado tree that started growing in there again. And I'll decide on the buckets. If I want to leave the buckets, maybe I'll only use the buckets that are closer. There's 3 buckets right up here. Just use those. Take the back buckets out, and I can do something with that. Oh, this is definitely coming in with me. Go ahead and not worry about the shark fin melon. That may end up in my patties now, and I'm going to think about that. Get rid of the 1, 2, 3, 4 buckets. Oh, give me a place to grow watermelon. I can grow that on the wall where it's nice and warm, and then maybe something just in the front. And then the rest will just be flowers. So I think I'm going to go that route. Then there's no work. And if I want to put some edible flowers in there, I can make tea out of that, though I really like my mint tea and lemon verbena. So that's my thought for the day. So today, what you got today was an old-fashioned vlog I used to do. I used to come out here and just walk around and talk. And you got one of those today. If you like this, I can do this almost, well, I don't want to do it every day. I want to get stuff done. But I can almost do it every day. And if you don't like it, tell me and I won't do it again. But these are my thoughts because we need to get food into our body that's real. Notice they don't tell you anymore like they used to say, don't eat raw eggs from the grocery store, because they're all zapped now. Everything is irradiated. But once they do that, they're really getting rid of stuff we need. So we need to get stuff back in our bodies that's real, that still has everything that our bodies need. And that's what I'm trying to do. So meanwhile, while I'm eating whatever comes from the grocery store, I'm also getting what I need from my own plants. And that's what I'm going to do here. Make sure every day we have the good food to grab. It's, what would you call it? It's fast food. You open up the fridge, you grab it, you eat it, and if you want, share it with the dogs, as long as there's no onions. And from there, eat what you want. And then at night we have a regular dinner, whatever I decide to make. So let me know if this is okay with you, just to see me grab my camera, because this was totally not planned. I actually came out here to grab greens because I'm going to go make a green drink, since I drank the last of my green drink yesterday. And if you like this, I can do this periodically. It's something you can listen to. It's more of a podcast type. So if you're driving, I'm not showing you anything. Not really. You can just listen and think about it. And think about what you want to add into your diet to make it better. That's what we need to do. And again, I'm not an advocate of telling you what to eat. But if you eat good, really good, you make something like a green drink or the green patties that I make. And it's not just green. I've got all kinds of stuff in there. You may find that you're not going to eat all the junk food because you don't need it. Like I said, I haven't even grabbed a cookie. I love my cookies with the almonds and walnuts and nut cookie I make, those sugar cookies. I love them. I even cut back on the last batch on the sugar, but it's still so sweet and good, but I don't need it. I ate the 2 big patties, shared a little bit with Zoe, and it was like, oh my, I'm not hungry, and it's been hours and I'm getting stuff done. And that's what you'll find too. You will have more energy. So with that, have a wonderful day. Think about what you're going to grow. I'm going to start some seeds pretty soon. Certain seeds you can start really early because they will hold on till spring. And certain seeds we don't because it will be a waste. They'll just die back. So don't forget to eat what you grow, and I'm still working on this. Maybe I'll do artwork out of it. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget, like I said, to eat what you grow. I've got tomatillos. I can't even reach. See, this is the other problem. I can't reach them. Look at that. I better get the rest of them. There's a whole bunch down there. Bye-bye.